Now, how difficult is it to find riding trails? Now, I am speaking about dirt bikes and maybe even adventure bikes. But right now, I'm on a bicycle. Now, the bike I did want to ride today is out of commission. And I will get to that in another video. But look at that. That looks like a trail, doesn't it? And it probably is. But here's the catch though, it's a trail for bicycles. Now that's a reason why I'm on a bicycle today, is because that's one way that I have found trails for myself. The thing is, whenever you're in your car and you're driving around location to location, maybe looking at like a forest or a place that you can potentially ride, it's quite difficult to actually get a gauge of what you're looking at. You can't really tell how narrow or wide the path is. But if you're on a bicycle, you can just go ahead and slow down to a stop. You can take a look at the trail. You can even go onto the trail and it's not as much of a problem. Now, when you get onto your bike and actually ride to that place, that's not up to me how you do it. But that's just how I find trails. Now, that's also how some people find abandoned buildings. If you look over there, I can't really look, I gotta turn my whole body. But there's a house over there. And when you're riding on the road, you really don't notice those things until you're going at a much slower pace. Just driving by that home, I could tell that it was run down. Nobody has driven on the driveway for maybe even several years now. Not only that, but I could also tell that there was a chain going across the driveway, and sometimes they even put up no trespassing signs. Now, what do I look for in a trail? There are a couple characteristics that are kind of important to me. How accessible is it to get to the trail? How long is the trail itself? And how noticeable is it that you're riding there? Most people that are riding their bikes, they're not street legal. And for the people that are riding on something that's not street legal, sometimes it's better to do it in a place that's not noticeable. There's this one YouTuber that says this quote a lot of times. If a tree fell in a forest and nobody was around to see it, did that tree really fall? And that would apply to some of the places that you're riding. If there's a bunch of homes around the area, or you may have to split through the road to get to it, if you look at it this way, it's pretty obvious that you were there. So if you're just looking at it this way, it's kind of obvious that you were on the road, you were doing something illegal, and if a cop lights you up, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna run or are you gonna hide? But if it's really easy to get to that trail, or you can maybe hypothetically find a place where you can park your truck and take your bike out and then go for a ride, that might be a viable option. Now, when you're on a little mobility scooter or a bicycle like I am right now, you can kind of go ahead and explore some trails which maybe you didn't have access to earlier. Now, if I was on a dirt bike here, how would I even cross this? I really don't know. Let me know in the comments if you could actually cross this on your bike without hopping off. But I'm just looking at it over here. There's like a really big pond over there and it looks really sweet. Looks like a great fishing spot. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes there are a lot of open trails which are not necessarily open to the public, but it is privately owned and the owners don't care if you ride your bikes on there. And lots of those trails pop up on a couple laps, one of them being Onyx Off-Road. Now, I use them personally. I'm not sponsored, but I think it's a great app. I use it a lot and I found a lot of my trails through that way. But you do have to pay for the more expensive version, which is like $90-something a year, I believe. And there are obviously plenty more apps which you can use and find other trails like that. There might even be some bicycle apps which you can use to find some great trails. Yo, I am 99% sure that these are beavers cutting the trees. Because tell me, who else cuts their trees down like that? I hope you can see that well. And then there's another tree over here which has been gnawed down. And I think that's really cool. I mean, look at that. Just the kind of precision thing. You can see all the bark, all the wood chips that they ate. That's just cool. This little pond right here is really nice. It's really sweet. Now, there are several more ways where you can go ahead and find great trails to ride on your bikes with. One of the best ones that I have found is just talking to your friends. Most of them, if they ride a dirt bike, they definitely know at least 1 or 2 trails around their personal home. Now, I'm not saying you got to go ride with them by any means, but they go ahead and tell you where the trails are. That's a great place where you can go ahead and ride. Usually there's lots of trails behind neighborhoods, behind big neighborhoods, because they always have to put these little concrete things, which are kind of like for sewage, I believe. And they, to keep up with regulation, I believe they have to keep the trails clear so that trucks can go through them and unclog them if they need to. So that's a really great way to go ahead and have multiple places to ride. I'm gonna be honest, that chair over there that I just passed is kind of creepy. But seeing that lake, this little river over here is really cool. I will tell you that. We kind of explored everything we could over here. Bikes are too difficult to navigate through this terrain. Now, keeping a knife on you is also another great thing that I'd suggest you do. Now, going back to the friends thing, maybe you really don't have that many friends. Another way you can get in contact with multiple people like that is by going ahead and maybe joining a couple Facebook groups. Now, that's where a lot of people go ahead and discuss some of the trails that they ride, some of the parks that they go to. Now, those are the ways that I go ahead and find my trails. If you have any other suggestions, leave them in the comments, please. But other than that, subscribe.